Well, hi there. Welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If you are brand new to my channel, yay! I'm so glad you found me. I've been waiting for you. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. My goal really is to help you save time and money when choosing movies. There's nothing better than watching an incredible movie that opens your mind and expands your heart. And then it really stinks when you spend time or money watching a movie that just is not good. So I'm trying to help you with that. So my goal is to give you a heads up on the content and the filmmaking quality. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called Aftersun. This dramatic movie is now available to stream online. It's rated R and is an hour and 42 minutes. My overall movie review mom grade is a B+. Now, don't click away to another YouTube channel just because you heard my score. Let me explain why. I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell, and then I'll point out things I liked and didn't like, as well as offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about, interesting lines and funny lines if there are any, and recommendations for some other movies that are sort of similar that I think you'll also really like if you like this one. All right, you ready? Let's dive in. In a nutshell, Sophie, the daughter, reflects on the shared joy and private melancholy of a holiday that she took with her father 20 years earlier. Memories, real and imagined, filling the gaps between them as she tries to reconcile the father that she knew with the man she didn't. The movie was both written and directed by Charlotte Wells and seems to have a very personal nature to it. So here's the list of things that I really liked about this. First of all, this is one of those artsy fartsy coming of age movies that definitely will fly under the radar for most people. Critics adore it, while regular audiences are not as impressed. Some people will absolutely love it and call it brilliant, and they have, while others will dismiss it because nothing happens. You know, it's one of those kinds of movies. Instead, the film paints a very subtle story that is softly layered with meaning. This is Frankie Corio's acting debut as a young actress. The director actually auditioned over 800 girls before she settled on Frankie. So, wow. And she does a fantastic job, too. The film takes a fascinating and gentle look at our selective memories. The musical score is powerful, and the messages, both visual and spoken, are extremely subtle, making them even more powerful, I think. Ultimately, the movie is an onion. It has many, many layers, and you can kind of inject lots of interpretations and messages in the movie. And I'll share a few of them that I thought of when I watched the movie here in just a minute. I'm envious of the girl in the movie because as a daughter with 3 other siblings in my family, I never got that much alone time with my father. I can remember one night where we both got dressed up and he took me out to a private dinner at a restaurant that I thought was really fancy. And I have no idea what we talked about, but I remember feeling cherished that he would take the time because he was a very busy man. And I highly recommend that you parents out there who are watching this do this with your kids. I tried to do it with my boys. I have 4 sons, and I hope that they never felt like that they were just jumbled up amongst all the kids, but that they were truly special to me. So that's my little motherly advice for you today. The camera work in the film is creative, making you examine what you're seeing and what you're not seeing. And I like that. I also like that the father took time to teach his daughter a few self-defense moves. Ultimately, it's really sweet that a single dad would take his time and money to spend that much one-on-one time with his daughter. And he should, but we often don't see that. It's also sweet that he gave her the bigger bed in the hotel room during their trip and was there whenever she had questions or wanted to talk or just make memories or even just sit and do nothing. And those are the memories that this woman now is reflecting back on. All right, with that great praise, here are just a few things that I didn't like or just thought could have been done better. First of all, I think it's really interesting to see how the director chooses to spend time and where to linger and hold that camera. I think I would have made some different choices, but then again, I'm not the filmmaker. In other words, sometimes the camera lingers a little too long and I'm like, okay, I get it. Let's move on. And then I keep looking, thinking, am I missing something? And I'm like, nope, I think I got it. Let's move on. So a lot of the dialogue is really muffled, making it difficult to hear what's being said. There are soft, quiet conversations between father and daughter, often because they're in crowded restaurants or the ocean, and there are competing sounds. And so I was like, wait, what'd they say? So this would be a really good movie to watch with the captions turned on if you're watching this from home on streaming. There are some odd editing moments, but some really interesting camera work overall. That being said, I can't stand shaky cam, and there's a lot of that. So many frames fly by so fast that I actually got dizzy, especially in the very beginning of the movie where it looks like a home video being made. And I know that that's the effect that they were going for, because at the very end of the movie, we see the daughter grown up actually watching the videos on a camcorder. And yet, for dizzy people like me, it's uncomfortable at times. The screen also often goes dark. There are some night scenes that use a strobe light effect. And so I had a hard time seeing what was happening. I'm starting to sound like I'm 90 years old. So I liked the camera work, but then there were these certain decisions where I was like, some viewers won't appreciate the slow burn of the story and wonder when something is going to happen. Okay, so let me give you some tips for parents. There is some profanity, including an F-bomb spoken by a young girl. I hate that when little kids swear. I mean, I don't like it when anybody swears, but especially when kids swear. A young man drops an F-bomb around the young daughter and then immediately apologizes. A girl sees and hears something sexual through a keyhole to another family's hotel room. I mean, she is being a peeping Tom and shouldn't be doing that, but I'm just like, we didn't really need to see that or hear that. And yet it's supposed to illustrate this coming of age story as she's learning about life and a lot of little different lessons as she's spending time with her father and just wandering around this resort and interacting with other people. There is some homosexual and heterosexual kissing. Hookahs are seen. The daughter asks what that's all about, and the dad answers. And so if you happen to watch this with your kids, you might have to explain the same thing. I don't think that this movie is really family friendly, partly for the content, but also I think because kids are just going to get bored. It's, like I said, very slow moving and very subtle and gentle in what's being portrayed on screen. Gentle in the sense that it doesn't hit you over the head with the lessons and the messages so much, but they're definitely there. And in fact, let me tell you about some of the themes that I pulled out of this movie. Obviously, parenting and single dads, father-daughter relationships, memories versus reality, nostalgia, loss of a loved one, coming of age, mental health, loneliness, perception, and even broken dreams. So this is a pretty serious drama. So I didn't write down any funny lines, which I usually do. And I have them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com. So you can run over there and check them out. But I do have a bunch of interesting lines that I wrote down. So one line is spoken by Sophie, who's played by Frankie Corio. And she says, I think it's nice that we share the same sky. And her dad says, what do you mean by that? And so she kind of goes on to talk about how it makes her feel cozy to know that even if they're apart, they can still look at the sky, but it's even better when they can share it together at the same time. And I thought that was sweet. And then the father, who, by the way, is played by Paul Mescal, and he does an excellent job, I thought. He says to her, be whoever you want to be. And his behavior throughout the entire week very much emphasizes that he really means it. There's no judgment. He just completely accepts her for who she is. And how wonderful to have parents that are like that. So some other movies that you might like that I also thought of while I was watching this one are one called The Loneliest Planet. filmed back in 2011. Now, that sounds like it's a nature movie or something about astronomy or something like that, but it's also a father-daughter exploration. Anyway, check that one out. And then another one that I thought of is called The Lost Daughter. It just came out last year on Netflix, and it stars Academy Award winning Olivia Colman and some insights that she gleans while being on vacation, or holiday, as the Brits call it, where she's got a lot of baggage that she's trying to unpack, personal, emotional baggage. And so it's also one of those kind of artsy fartsy, slow moving, introspective type of films. And then another one I thought of is called Captain Fantastic. It came out in 2016, and it's kind of also an emotional journey and relationships between a father, his children. That's very, very touching, and stars the incredible Viggo Mortensen. I just absolutely adore him. All right, so I hope if you watch this movie, you enjoy it. And if you don't, well, I gave you a little heads up there. So thank you so much. And hopefully my review will help you make a decision about this movie. And if it does, click that subscribe button and bang that little like button. That always helps me by spreading magical YouTube algorithm fairy dust all over my channel so more people can find my reviews. That's it. Have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.